Good evening. We begin tonight with major disruptions across the nation's skies, a direct consequence of the prolonged government shutdown, which has now reached its 39th day. Travelers are facing widespread chaos, as more than 2,500 flights have been canceled this weekend alone. The Federal Aviation Administration and the Department of Transportation ordered a reduction in operations at 40 of the country's busiest airports, citing safety concerns amid the funding impasse. The order stems from worries about staffing levels for air traffic controllers and safety inspectors, many of whom are either furloughed or working without pay. On Friday, over 1,500 flights were grounded, and by this evening, another 1,000 have already been canceled for Sunday. Airports bearing the brunt of the disruption include Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International and New Jersey's Newark Liberty International. In response to the growing crisis, the U.S. Senate convened for a rare Saturday session, scrambling to find a path forward. However, lawmakers remain deeply entrenched in the dispute that triggered the shutdown. The central issue is a Democratic demand to extend COVID-era emergency tax subsidies for health insurance plans under the Affordable Care Act. Republicans have repeatedly rejected this, arguing that government funding must be resolved first. The stalemate shows no signs of breaking, with Democrats having blocked a short-term spending package 14 times. They argue that the healthcare subsidies provide critical relief to millions of American families and cannot be used as a bargaining chip. Republicans counter that the subsidies, enacted as a temporary pandemic measure, represent a separate policy debate that should not hold the entire federal government hostage. The debate over those subsidies and the Affordable Care Act itself intensified dramatically after President Donald Trump injected a new proposal into the stalemate. In a post on his Truth Social platform on November 8th, the president urged Senate Republicans to fundamentally change how federal healthcare dollars are distributed. He wrote, quote, "I am recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own, much better, health care and have money left over." He concluded by calling for the termination of what he described as the worst health care anywhere in the world, Obamacare. This presidential intervention has shifted the Republican focus, with senators today launching a coordinated series of attacks on the entire structure of the 2010 healthcare law. On the Senate floor, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina called the program unsustainable, claiming premium increases have far outpaced original promises. He stated, "We're going to replace this broken system with something that is actually better for the consumer." Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin argued that Obamacare drove free market principles out of healthcare, while former healthcare executive Senator Rick Scott of Florida blamed the law for rising costs, saying, "When the government gets involved in things, they often go up in price." The financial cost was also a key point of attack. Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas noted that the program now costs the federal government nearly $150 billion a year, or $400 million a day, which he says is triple the initial projections. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa echoed that sentiment, arguing that the answer isn't throwing more money into a broken system, but fixing what's broken. While the president's proposal faces significant legislative hurdles, it has energized his party and provided a new rallying cry in the ongoing shutdown fight. While Washington remains gridlocked over the current budget and healthcare policy, some political leaders are already maneuvering for the next major power struggle: control of Congress in the 2026 midterm elections. California Governor Gavin Newsom was in Texas today, holding a victory rally after his state passed Proposition 50 earlier this week. The measure allows for the state's congressional map to be redrawn in a way that is expected to heavily favor Democrats. Speaking to a crowd in Houston, Newsom framed the victory as a critical first step for his party. declaring that winning back the House of Representatives is, in his words, the whole thing. He is urging other Democratic-led states to follow California's lead and pursue their own aggressive redistricting strategies. This is a direct counteroffensive to a push led by President Trump and the GOP to solidify their own razor-thin House majority. Republican-controlled states like Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio have already drawn new maps to create more GOP-friendly districts. The effort is designed to prevent a repeat of the 2018 midterms, when Democrats reclaimed the House during Trump's first term. In his speech, Newsom also took a direct jab at President Trump, calling him historically unpopular and claiming he had a very bad night on Tuesday, referencing not only the California proposition, but also Democratic gubernatorial wins in New Jersey and Virginia. Newsom, who is widely considered a potential frontrunner for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2028, has positioned himself as the most visible leader in this escalating redistricting war. Turning to the international stage, there is a significant development in the tense relationship between the world's two largest economies. A recent high-stakes meeting between the US and China in South Korea has resulted in a trade truce, pausing a spiraling trade war that has rattled global markets. As a result of the deal, punishing tariffs have been lowered. In a sign of goodwill, China has reportedly resumed purchasing American soybeans after a months-long hiatus, and the flow of critical rare earth minerals from China is set to begin again. The pause on tit-for-tat port fees is also a welcome relief for the global shipping industry. Both national leaders have publicly praised the outcome. President Trump rated the meeting a 12 out of 10, while Chinese President Xi Jinping called it a new start. However, behind the friendly rhetoric, analysts are expressing caution. The deal stands on a history of what some experts call broken promises from Beijing. The skepticism is rooted in past experiences where China has made commitments on issues like intellectual property protection and market access, only for progress to stall or reverse. One expert noted that, quote, "Talking one way and acting in another, this is typical of the Chinese Communist Party." The critical question now is how long this détente will last, and whether the commitments made during the talks will be fully honored in the weeks and months to come. The current agreement is seen as a fragile but necessary step back from the brink of a full-blown economic conflict.